All right, beautiful people, it's another lovely Wednesday afternoon, and of course, it's my pleasure to have you join me on yet another amazing edition of Flipside on Independent Television, broadcasting live from the city of Bronze. Yep, the city where the king is truly king. Now, for starters, Flipside is one show that, seeks to look at issues from a different perspective. Sometimes it's just boring looking at issues from only one perspective. Like the adage says, variety is the spice of life. So, the essence of this program is to, put a twist to issues, and of course, try to look at them from an unpopular perspective. My name is Harry Igboje, and of course, it's my pleasure to have you join us on this lovely episode of the show. Now, today we're taking a look at a very interesting topic, something that has to do with the youth, the youthful population. All right, now, the youth are very, very important and integral part of the society. So you can't talk about the society without talking about the youth. All right, so today we're taking a look at maximizing the creative potential of the youth. Maximizing the creative potential of the youth. And of course, I'm not doing this alone. I've got some amazing gentlemen in the house with me. And together we're going to be doing justice to this discourse. Now, to my far left is a colleague and a homie. Yeah, he's already seated and ready to start doing justice to this topic. Now, he goes by the name of Joshua Okata, right? I hope I got his name right.
Absolutely correct.
How you doing, bro?
Very well.
How's it been?
Very well, and it's nice doing this with you today.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a pleasure.
Yeah.
It's an amazing thing to have brothers come together and do, amazing stuff, right?
Rub minds together.
Yeah. I mean, seated next to Joshua is someone else who is also an amazing personality. He's a friend. He's part and parcel of the Guys Hangout show. And of course, it's always a pleasure having him in the house as well. He goes by the name of Ramsey Abu Uwaila.
Thank you very much, Mr. Harry.
Welcome, Ramsey.
It's always a pleasure to be on the show.
A pleasure having you as well. I mean, it's amazing. This is actually my first time of seeing you this year, right? Happy New Year.
That is why we say Happy New Year, my brother.
Happy New Year, bro.
I will pray this year will be better than the previous one.
Amen. I mean, for me, though, I can already see the year getting really, really beautiful. And I'm sure you guys can attest to that. Sure. All right, so let's get right to the business of the day. We've got a very interesting topic before us, all right? We're talking about maximizing the creative potential of the youth. Now, let's like they say, first things first. So let's start by defining the youthful population. So how would you define the youth? Maybe I should start with you, Joshua. If you were asked to define the youth, how would you define it?
Well, this question is a bit technical, but then for the sake of this discourse, we tend to look at it from two perspectives.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just a period of a child going from childhood to matured
to adulthood. Okay.
But then if you look at it, by way of country to country understanding, it varies. Okay. Like for us in Nigeria...
Talking about the age range now.
Yes, so for us in Nigeria here, we're looking at it from the age of 15 to 29. That's the age of the youth. Okay. Now, if you go across the shores of the country, perhaps looking at it from a broader perspective, the United Nations understanding about benchmark. The youth is between the age of 15 and 24. However the case, it's a period where a child grows from childhood to adulthood. Now, a whole lot of things do come into play during this period, which, for the sake of this discourse, we'll go deeper into it. But let me just leave it at that point.
All right. First. I mean, if your definition is anything to go by, I guess adolescence and puberty are part of the process of, moving from childhood to adulthood, right?
Absolutely.
Now, Ramsey, do you share that thought?
Yeah, I think, yes, being a youth, I think it starts from the age of 15. But then there are subgroups within this age range.
Okay.
We have the teenagers who are from 13 to 19. And these subgroups also make up the larger one, which is the youth. Okay. So at this time, I will take it from 15 to 30.
Okay.
And even some 35 these days will tell you we are youth.
Okay, so that's like, we'll get to that going later. Contrary to what he said earlier about the
age range. Based on variations and all that. Well, let's just, for the purpose of this discourse, I think I will define it as 15 to 30. Yeah.
Okay, so anyone within that age range
is not supposed to, as defined by Abu Wala.
Okay, so that's your own definition.
Yes.
Fair enough. I mean, like, in fact, let's even put the age bracket thing aside.
Yeah.
Like, people say that you are as young as you think you are. So age is a thing of the mind. In fact, an 80-year-old, just like I was having a conversation with Joshua off air, an 80-year-old man could still consider himself a youth, depending on how energetic he is and how productive he is. I think the youthful age is the age of productivity, and that's the direction I would like us to, move in the course of this discourse. Why do youth or young people seem to be channeling their energy in the wrong direction nowadays? Now, you'll agree with me, just like I said earlier, that young people are naturally, very productive. In fact, that's like the most productive phase of a man's life. So once you get to a certain age, you are no longer as productive, or you are no longer able to do as much as you used to do when you were within these age brackets that you guys have mentioned. Now, if you take a look at a lot of young people of this age, it seems, they are channeling their energy in the wrong direction. What factors would you say are responsible for that, Joshua?
So that's why we say when a child grows from that particular period of time into an adulthood, there seems to be a whole lot of activities, that would be exposed to that child.
Okay.
And don't forget, at that point in time, the child is so excited about life. He wants to explore. He wants to experiment.
He's curious.
He's curious to do a whole lot of things. The cheerfulness is there. The excitement is there. So at that point in time, when there is no proper attention paid to that child, there seems to be a derailment in the area of focus that child should be. Okay. And so that's why sometimes you see what people say in a developing stage of a child, you come across nature versus nurture. Okay. So what you get from home...
Nature versus nurture.
Yeah, so what you get from home is nature, right? Yeah. But at the end of the day, if you fail to get the right direction from your parents who should provide you the right guide, of course, what you get from the external influence will be people who will derail you, who do not mean well for you. And so that's where you see a child going towards the wrong direction because that focus that he should get has been lost from home.
Okay, now, nature versus nurture. Ramsey, what he has said borders on the need for parents to, take up the primary responsibility of not just catching their child, just like they say, catch them young. Sure. Not just discovering their kids, but also nurturing them. Yeah. Do you think parents are doing enough in this regard?
If I make a statement in regards to that, I'll be making a sweeping statement, and that would be a fallacy of overgeneralization. I think the question should be, what are the factors that are responsible for youth not being maximizing their potentials in these present dispensations?
Okay.
The factors are quite numerous. For the purpose of this course, I will just confine myself to a few of these factors. But there is this natural tendency for people to tint towards pleasure than principle. And at that youthful age, there's what we call the youth exuberance, like my brother here rightly said. They are curious, they want to explore, they want to do things. But that's notwithstanding, these pleasure decide to magnet these people over the principle in life. Example of such pleasure is the internet that we have today.
It's not necessarily a bad thing in this context.
It's not a bad thing, but too much of everything is bad. Okay. And some of these you tend to do everything in their life that is pertaining to pleasure instead of taking other aspects of life. And this internet thing is one of these things that have been distracting youth from maximizing their potentials. I said it before that the internet contains both trash and treasure, but many of the youth tend to move towards the trash, not the treasure aspect of it. From that, alcoholism. So many of our youth are now alcoholics. Some of them can't even stay a day without drinking alcohol. These are distractions. Apart from alcohol, this idea of relationship, love their boyfriend and girlfriend, these are distractions some of the youth, and it's making them not to maximize their potentials. So these factors, if they are being kept aside or being able to be confined to the particular place and facing life squarely, I think many of them will be able to maximize their potentials.
Okay. Alcoholism, relationships, and all whatnot. Yeah. Joshua, do you agree with that? Do you think all of these things he has mentioned constitute a distraction to young people of this age?
Yes, because if I would have to refer back to my statement, during that period you're excited about everything. It's just like a child whom a parent gives a spoon for the first time. That child learns to know that that spoon is used for eating. But at the same time, that spoon can also serve for other purposes. The child can also use it to pack sand if care is not taken, because he's excited about doing everything with that spoon. So it beholds on the parent to provide a guide.
Okay.
So just as he said, a child who is exposed to societal norms tend to be carried away with everything he sees, because at that point in time, there is no experience.
Okay.
So he tends to be going by the euphoria of the moment. So if it's about young guys, being proud about, drinking, smoking, partying, talking about relationship, that is what the child will feed his mind on. So there's nothing you can do about it other than to provide a guide. So just as he said, there is also a part of pleasure and there's also a part of, what did you call it? Principle. So you must strike a balance. And striking a balance requires that you pay constant attention to what that child focuses on. Otherwise, there's always a possibility of losing track.
Now let's look at the paradigm shift in our values, right? Growing up, we had these very strict, should I call it parental control?
Yeah. No,
I, for one, I knew...
Parenting, act of parenting.
Right? But it seems like there's a derailment in that regard, because nowadays you see parents telling you that, they want to raise their kids in love. And love, in their own context, is, letting their children get away with anything they do. For example, when I was a child, I didn't have the luxury of, the freedom to do whatever I wanted to do. But nowadays, you see kids doing whatever they want to do, and then their parents just allow them get away with it. Even in school, right? Of course, I understand that there are teachers who can be quite extreme in their instillment of discipline and all of that. But of course, you cannot take the importance of communal, should I call it
lifestyle
control, right, on children. In those days, there was this popular adage that kids don't belong to their parents only. They belong to the entire community. But nowadays, if you're not very careful the way you go about, disciplining a child, you could, get in trouble with the parents. Now, what do you think has changed? Joshua?
I think based on development, civilization, and of course, some certain person's personal experience in life, tends to want to limit to a certain degree the kind of discipline the children might want to get from the outside community. Now, let me bring it back to my personal experience. And that is why I appreciate parenting as a responsibility of both partners. Not just, a particular partner left with that particular,
So you think it's a collaborative effort between both
It's a collective effort. I grew up under, a household having both parents. And now this is where it comes. My mom always had a soft spot for children. So she's always there providing. Even when my dad doesn't see any sense in some certain things she buys, he always comes in to strike a balance. So by that, there is always no extreme in life. So when my mom decides to do something, there's always this control my dad exercises to create a balance.
So your dad,
at the end of the day, the child doesn't see life as so easy. Or a roller coaster, as they say. Now, some persons, because of the very bitter experience they've been exposed to while growing up, they feel that there is no other person that can show love to that child other than them. And then when it comes from the outside community, they tend to tag it as being hate. So it gives the reason why someone would want to go head on with you if he sees you disciplining his child in the way that he does not in any way approve.
But the problem here is it wasn't like that in those days. So, it seems like these are new trends where, even if you, just like during the Christmas season, I was talking about how, there used to be so much, communal spirit where, so a family could cook and take food to the next family. That was how free, a lot of families were at the time. But nowadays, it seems like everyone is just living their own lives and doing their own thing. And to the point where even if someone's child is self-destructing, you act like it doesn't concern you because you don't want, like I said, you don't want to get in trouble. Like, where did all of these, change? How did it change? What happened?
You're asking me?
Yes.
Okay, like I said, developmental stage of every aspect of life would have created some level of change. How things evolved how people get to experience life differs from the next person. So the way you see life might be different from the way the next person sees life. So it's a matter of perspective. So it's a matter of perspective. So how I want my children to be treated is the way I want it to go. Anything contrary to that, of course, you will know will have issues. So at that point in time, it's no longer seen as you are not the only person who controls or treats or trains a child or brings up a child. The community, no one sees it from that angle. It should be the right thing and the right values I want my children to have is what I want them to, receive. If an outside person has to come in to do that, given the fact that sometimes you hear of some persons who get reports that their children was beaten in a very, very, unloving manner, perhaps in school. And then the next thing, the father marches down to the school and requires who is the person who is doing this to the son. And then
tries to unleash mayhem on them.
So because he might be doing that, not because he doesn't value the fact that this child is being disciplined. It may be that because he has passed through a very funny experience in life and might not want it to repeat itself again.
In the life of the child.
So he might be a little bit more violent rather than looking at it from a positive point of view why that child was disciplined.
Now, Ramsey, he was talking about the need to be very careful in instilling discipline in children. In the sense that sometimes some adults could be very, very extreme in dealing with children. Hence, some parents become quite defensive and protective. Some might say they are overprotective of their children, but like they say, he who wears the shoes knows where it pinches, right? Now let's look at creativity in the sense of the arts, for instance, right? Let's take a look at the music industry. Now, a lot of young people are talented in different ways. There are those who are talented in fine and applied arts. There are those who are talented in music, and then there are those who are also very, very creative in other ways. If you take a look at the music industry, you'll see that there are young people who are doing pretty well in music, but they think they need some sort of enhancement to live up to their full potential. For instance, they need to take drugs. They need to take. You talked about alcoholism earlier. Now let's take a look at creativity vis-a-vis the abuse of drugs, and drinks. How do you think this affects the creativity of young people?
When we say creativity, that potential is always there. I told someone, I said, God gave everyone a gift. There are some things you don't bother, you didn't bother to learn it. It's just there. People are paying millions, thousands to get this particular gift or anything, but God gave it to you. But some of the things,
talent, right?
Talent. Some of the things that can blur or distract one from maximizing their potentials I've listed before, apart from alcoholism, is also the abuse of drugs. Many believe that if you don't take this thing, you will not be able to function the right way and all that. But that's a lie. It's fallacious. I think the youth now should start thinking of how to maximize their potentials by first shunning those vices like drug abuse, alcoholism, and all that. And besides shunning those vices, they should take their life head on. What do I mean by this? The idea of fear. Some persons are scared into venturing into something new. They are scared of unleashing that potential that God has given to them. And I always told my...
Could it be fear of the unknown?
Yes, I always told my students, I said, fear is just an acronym for false elements appearing real. If you do it, you find out that you can actually do it. But if you don't start at all, there's a problem. There is a risk for not taking a risk. So the youth, I will admonish them to take calculated risk, short-term goals. Don't just sit down and say, one day I know I'll blow. Nobody will blow you on the sitting position. You have to make a move. So they should remove that element of fear and start something. They should use their talents. Apart from fear, there is this fear of failure. And I told my students also, I said, fail simply means first attempt in learning. If you fail the first time, you fail the second time, you fail up to 7 times, the 8th time will teach you the wrong ways of doing that thing. So please, they should remove this idea of fear, the idea of fear of failure, and this tendency of my friend must approve. What will people say? Do you know many of the youth are not doing what they are supposed to do today because they fear what people will say? And most of the people are not even looking at them because the people are busy doing other things. So they should have this independent mindset of this is my life, this is my goal. Let's just start doing it. With this, I think many potentials definitely will be maximized if they decide to utilize these factors.
Okay, thank you very much, Ramsey. Now, Joshua.
Yes, please.
There are young people who believe that they have to, you know, take some sort of enhancement before going before a crowd, going on stage, for instance. Right? Some of them, I don't know if it's because of the fear of stage fright rather. Some of them are scared. They don't know what could happen if they, you know, face the crowd. Some of them, the moment they even step on stage, they're scared. I don't know. You might not be an artist, but you know, I'm sure those who are in the, you know, the area of music can relate. So they believe they have to take some enhancements in order to be able to face the crowd. What do you think these, you know, concerns are legit? Do you think they are? Do you think they make sense? Do you think it's possible for someone to be able to work on themselves naturally to a point where they can face the crowd without necessarily, you know, taking to drugs?
All right, now let's look at it from two angles. First, for some persons who believe, I'm not here endorsing the taking of drugs,
okay,
or even going into alcoholism.
Okay.
What I'm just saying in essence is that some persons, maybe because of health reasons, might not be able to do things naturally on their own without being influenced by either of these vices.
Okay.
Right? Now, it all also depends on who role model them, right? Like I said, everything starts from the home. So if you're growing up in a home where you have your father and your mother, they should have been able to spot out some of those weaknesses and the strengths you have,
okay,
and build on it.
So it still boils down to parental mentorship.
Parenting is key in everything in that, because everything starts from the home. Before you get outside, you would have been so used to your parents, and of course the socialization begins from there. So imagine now you have a parent who has discovered, okay, this is where my child is good at. He's good at singing, but he's shy. So what do? There is a lot of discussion that goes on with that, and engagement too. Take that child out. Traveling is part of education too. Let the child go out, meet with people, interact with people, learn people's culture. Get that child exposed so that by the time he starts expressing himself, he will not be afraid of people. Another thing is that constantly reassuring that child of love and care. And where necessary, commend that child. By the time you commend that child over and again, that child naturally grows up to understand that this is something he does well and is being appreciated. Another thing is that when you do not even engage your child with collaborative effort, perhaps bring the child in contact with his or her peers, like put them in a room, let them have a general project, they work together. That child will learn to always have that team-like spirit. Okay, let me do it with my team.
Okay.
So the idea of wanting to do it alone, and now how he wants to do it will not be there anymore because he's already mixed with his peers. Now another thing is that for people who think that it's all about doing drugs or taking into alcoholism that makes them do better, it might be the image they are getting from the outside world, perhaps people who are already doing it. So they feel that maybe that's the best lessons they can take. You can't do it other than through this means.
Okay.
So it all depends on where you are taking your information from. If it's from their home, I can assure you that no father or mother will introduce a child into taking into alcoholism or drugs just because they have to maximize their potential. So if you miss it from the home, obviously you get it from the outside world.
Okay, yeah, we actually do hope that it doesn't get to the point where, you know, children will start relying on, you know, such external factors to, you know, maximize their potentials. Now, take a look at the issue of fraud, for instance.
Okay.
Now, it takes a lot of genius to be able to engage in internet fraud. Of course, it's negative and it's destructive. But let's take a look at the ex-governor of Edo State, right? I think at some point he was talking about redirecting the attention of the youth from, you know, such negative engagements to positivity. Now, what measures do you think the government of the day can take in helping the youth to, you know, rechannel their energy towards, you know, positively creating stuff that could better not just their lives, but the lives of people around them?
Yeah, they should start by living by example.
Okay.
The government of the day should start by living by example. What do I mean by this? You want to redirect the youth and mindset from negative things to positive things. You should do that by showing us example. You should do the positive things. You should be sincere. There should be sincerity of purpose in the government. They should believe in you first.
Okay.
Now, apart from that, I think the government can as well train and retrain the youth. Bring them in, train them on a particular skill. Ask them, what do you want to learn? What do you like doing? In line with their talents, train them very well, then take them to the outside world where they start making money. So if you do all this, and if you do all this, I think many of the youths will leave this negative aspect of life and making money and the quick making money and all that, and start focusing on things that will bring them long-term wealth and all that. But you see, when you have a good seed and you decide to plant it in an unfertile land, the good seed will not yield to anything. Many of them are learning from what is happening around them, and some of the things that are happening around them are orchestrated by the government, and it's not positive at all. Okay. You see, when you tell some of them this thing you are doing is wrong, he will ask you a question, and the question is, those in the position of authority, what are they also doing? I'm doing mine, you can talk to me now. Can you talk to them? So if they really want the youth to rechannel or redirect their focus to positive things, the government should start by showing us example. Let there be sincerity of purpose. They should be sincere so that the youth can begin to say, okay, those leading us are like this, we can also be like this. No, some of them, if you even train these people, you need to empower them. Okay. Training without empowerment is like you've not done anything. Empower them, let them stand on their feet before you leave them alone. Then the youth will say, okay, the positive light in this particular direction will follow. If nothing like that is happening, they will definitely want to go to that shortcut of making money, which is always the negative one. I think the government have a lot to do. And apart from the government, the youth themselves. You see, these days, many youths believe that it's not what you know, it is now what is in your pockets. And whichever way you get the money does not really matter.
And that's a major problem.
It is a major problem because the society are beginning to set it as the new normal. You are educated, you are a graduate and all that. They prefer that person who does not even have the certificate to see because he has the money. So everybody is no longer the certificate, it's now how much do you have.
The money is not the driving force.
That is the driving force, and that is the parameter they are using to judge everybody. So if money is the driving force, and you are expecting someone to start learning and sort a return will come the next 10 years, he won't be patient enough to learn this particular thing. They want to make this money on time. So the government of the day needs to empower the youth, train them, and as well, lead by example.
Lead by example.
Yes.
Well, I actually do hope that the government of the day and everyone who is in the right place is paying attention to this discourse because, you know, just like he said, it's not enough to teach. Teaching is more effective when you're teaching by your own personal experience. So you are not just telling people what to do. So there are some people who believe in telling telling young people to do what they say and not to do what they do. Now, that is not the right way to teach, okay? Teaching by example is very, very key. Now, Ramsey, what role do you think the religious bodies have to play in all of this? First of all, what do you think they're doing to compound the problem? And what do you think they could do better, you know, to...
I think, I don't want to make a hasty generalization. So far, I think some of them are trying to empower the youth, while others are after their pockets. I'm sorry, I'm just being blunt. You see, what I advise many of the religious bodies to do is look at those youths in your congregation who are not doing anything. Ask them what they think, ask them what they can do, and train these people. If you train them and empower them, I think that will reduce the number of unemployed youth in our society. Instead of collecting money, even from the very poor among them, if they can start doing that, then we'll say they are contributing immensely and positively to the development of the society. But that's not in the picture. I think it's going to look like they are adding to the rate of unemployment in society. So religious bodies should gather youth in their congregation, in their church, in their mosque, as the case may be, train them on a particular skill in line with what they want to do, empower them, and it will reduce the rate of unemployment in our society. They have that responsibility. Besides doing that, if they don't have the empowerment to as well empower these youth, they can as well begin to bring up topics like this, topic where youth will be advised out of hooliganism and gangsterism, telling them the right, teaching them on the right path of life. Let them know that the world, the life we are now is a journey, and you have to run your race very well. Not on the race of the negative aspect, but on the positive aspect. Bring topics that are pragmatic.
Okay.
Teach them things, the action they are supposed to take that will maximize or help them maximize their potentials. We shouldn't be every time abstract. When I say abstract, it means we are discussing things how to do with spirituality without adding practical and pragmatic tendencies into it. Okay. So if you engage youth like this, they'll begin to have a redirection. They'll begin to retrace their step and begin to say, okay, this is what we are supposed to do in life and not just this. So if they play this role, I think it will go a long way to help our youth have a reorientation.
All right, Josh, what's your perspective to this?
Yeah, it goes back to what I said earlier. You know, when proper parental training is totally a deficit, especially in the life of a child, the next point of call is to turn his attention to the government. And of course, when he meets a brick wall, when the government is not providing even skill acquisition centers where the youth can actually go and...
All right, Josh, thank you very much. Let's take a look at the issue of peer pressure in all of this. Now, the white man says, show me your friend and I'll tell you who you are, right? Don't you think that the caliber of people that the young people of our generation surround themselves with also play a huge role in, determining the kind of things that they are able to come up with, whether positive or negative? Joshua?
It does. Absolutely. That fact cannot be overemphasized because, as I say, good morals, especially is spoiled when you are in association with people who are in opposite, direction. And of course, you cannot remove the fact that peer pressure in itself is a major factor.
Okay.
And now that tells me the kind of people you love to listen to, especially when it comes to the kind of music you listen to, the kind of movies you watch, the kind of association or group you belong to.
Yeah.
It might be religious association, so let's not just think it's just always social gathering.
Social, okay.
Because come to look at it, like I was saying earlier, if parental guidance is lost at a point in time, the child tends to swing towards a direction, perhaps thinking the government has something to offer. Unfortunately, they meet a brick wall. What next? They resort to perhaps the religious leaders, who should provide a guide, who should provide morals, values on how to encourage youth to hone their skills, on how to encourage youth to be hardworking, on how to encourage the youth to be patient, to wait. Because obviously everything takes the through a process. Yeah. These days, what you hear is the direct opposite. It's either it's a miracle center where they are telling you of one thing or the other, promising you of one money you're going to make, promising you of one breakthrough, of a person who has not even put in the work. And it tells me, so when these people shout amen, what are they shouting amen to? So it means that they're in the wrong place at the right time.
Okay.
So we should start defining what drives us as individuals. So if what drives you is about how to build and how to wait, then it tells me that you're going somewhere. But if it's about making it quick, by all means possible, then you're in the wrong place. So it tells you that the pressure they get is about where they tend to cling to. Okay. That matters.
All right. Now, Ramsey, there's a trending story of a gospel artist who was caught with the skull of his girlfriend.
Okay.
And of course, it's been trending on social media, and people have been giving hot takes on that. Now, this actually says a lot about what Joshua just said. The fact that what seems to be our driving force nowadays is what a person, how much material possession a person has. What do you think this portends for the future of the youth?
Doom. Destruction. If we don't caution ourselves now, we'll be in a place where we don't even expect. You see, it's not about because the person was or is a gospel artist. In every profession, there are the good eggs, there are the bad eggs. Okay. So he's just a bad person, not because of his profession. It has nothing to do with his profession. It has nothing to do with being a gospel artist. A gospel artist is someone that sings gospel songs. So anybody can do that. Even Babalawo can decide to start singing songs to praise. Babalawo is a gospel artist.
Of course, you know the way society looks upon people.
Yeah,
like
that is why I'm downplaying the idea of see a gospel artist doing this. No, that's not the issue. He's a bad person. He wants to make money. And some of the reasons, according to what some of my friends said, that he gave was because the girl was cheating on him. I said, no, that's not the reason. You just want to make money. Now, this idea of if you don't make money, is either you make money or you are not part of the society. It's what is bringing all of this. And we always have this problem to ourselves. We better sit up now and start telling our youth to take action. And how do they take action? They should go and maximize their potentials. They have these potentials in them. They shouldn't be scared. They shouldn't fear the unknown. They shouldn't be stagnant. The next question is, who is your mentor? Or who are your mentors as a youth? So going by that peer pressure, some of the peer group, some of them don't even have good mentorship. Some of them don't even have good mentors. They don't have someone that they are following. You see, most times they say, I just want to make money. And making money could be at all costs. Making money could be with any means. Let me just make money. That's not it. Any good money make pass through the process. Anything good does not come easy. They should sit down and learn, then start something. Believe in themselves. You are not competing with anybody. You are only fighting poverty. If you know that you are fighting poverty, you are not competing with anybody. You will sit down or stand up and start doing something. Okay. Either they are crawling, they are running, they are flying, but there should be movements.
Okay, so mobility is all that matters.
Let them just do something positive.
Something positive. Now, Joshua,
yeah.
Does the economy have any role to play in this? Because one of the he talked about the fear that most young people have, you know, fear of failure, fear of the unknown. Now, a lot of these young guys are very talented, but there's this fear that they might never really amount to anything, considering how tough the situation of things, you know, are in the society. For example, there are young people who never really lived up to their expectations or lived up to their full potentials, right? So they are scared that if they too decide to toe that same line, they might never really, you know, achieve anything. Don't you think that's a legit concern?
Yes, as much as possible, we will not discard that concern. But then, are you the only person in that space? So there are other people who are also striving hard to become someone in the future. Who have
also succeeded.
So, and they've also succeeded. So what is the secret behind their success? Have you tried to study them? Have you tried to read about them? Is there anything that you're doing that needs you to have a mind shift? And perhaps model your life after what they did to see if there will be a difference. Remember, they say, keep doing the same thing over and over again. You might not get anything. So why not think of doing something differently this time and see if there's going to be a headway? And secondly, always have that patience, always have that waiting attitude. Because the youth, like you said, they are not willing to wait. It's about doing it now and hitting it the next minute. Okay. So, but if they are told that everything takes time, perhaps people need to even trust your craft. So you're starting a small business today doesn't mean the next minute you're blown. You need to grow that business just like a baby. Okay. You need to understand the challenges that comes with that business. And if you do not have passion for that craft, when challenges come hitting at you, what happens? You quit. But the moment you understand that in everything there is always a phase in life, you understand that it will come when it will blow you hot, and it will come when it will blow you cold. So learn the rudiment of that skill, expand your tentacles, and collaborate with other people's effort. Don't think you are just a loner running that race alone. There are other people there. Leverage on their expertise and improve yourself. By so doing, definitely one or two persons will refer you, because it starts with you understanding what you're doing, okay, and understanding the fact that you must collaborate with effort. I said it earlier on that if you weren't taught to collaborate with other people, you will always think that doing it on your own is just the way out. Okay. But no, you can leverage on other people's effort, especially what you do not have. Everything is not about having the money. That is where partnership comes in. Okay. So at the end of the day, when you partner with people who have same goal, same focus, you're likely to get along.
All right. Now, there's this, you know, tendency for a lot of young persons to be caught up in, you know, the negativity on social media. For example, there are people who are living a lie on social media. Okay. People call it packaging nowadays, fake life.
Fake life, yes.
You know, they are, you know, putting up an image that is contrary to, you know, reality.
Yeah.
How do you think this affects the youth?
You know, I keep saying it, and I said it before. There are two words now. We have the universe and the metaverse. Okay. People tend to live, they are in the universe, but they are living for the metaverse. Why some of them decide to just discard the idea of metaverse. Now, when you see people on Facebook, some of them are people you are supposed to pity. You envy them. Because it is almost becoming a new norm on Facebook that you must look rich. You must look dope. Let me use their language. You must look.
Whereas some of the richest people in the world are probably not.
They are not even on social media. Okay. They are just there. Some of them go on social media to sell their products. Some of them go there to just spread their tentacles and make their business known to the world. But you see those people that don't have anything. They are on social media. They are the big men and the big women on social media in quotes. And in reality, they don't really have anything. I think they should stop this idea of living in a world of phantasmagoria. They should just come to reality. They should know that until you walk, you will not get there. No, see, this weight, my brother, it is not a sexually transmitted disease. For the fact that you are rubbing shoulders or you are very close to a rich person does not automatically make you rich. You have to work for your money. Our youth should be told that money comes when you work for it. If they don't know these things, they'll begin to see life on social media as if it's an automatic thing that when once you're on Facebook, you become rich. Or once you're on other social media, you become rich. No, that is metaverse. This is universe. And this is reality. Okay. That is fictional. So don't let people's life on social media determine or influence your own life and you begin to see yourself like failure. Whereas these people that are influencing you, that are making you feel bad or record to your share, are people you are supposed to pity and not to even envy. Okay. So we have fake life there. And it should determine how a determined youth should live his life.
Determined youth. Determination is something that seems really, really scarce in this age because a lot of people give up too easily, maybe because of some of the factors that I've mentioned. Now, Joshua, let's take a look at recreation and the way a lot of young people of this age view recreation. A lot of youths, they go to clubs and, of course, you know what happens in clubs. Yeah. People drink and, take all sorts of stuff. And then let's not forget hype men and the very, very funny things that they say. Now, this is not in any way trying to knock the hustle of hype men. But you see, if we're going to be teaching the young people how to, channel their energy in the right direction, we must also try to curb the negative factors that drain this creativity. The kind of things you hear some of these guys say are crazy, like encouraging fraud, for instance, and encouraging rituals. What do you think that means to the young people of this age?
First, let's even look at it from the positive before we talk about the negative. Right. Because as an individual, I might choose to go to a club because I want to loosen up. Okay. I might have a very stressful, hectic day.
For recreational purpose.
So let me just unwind and have some level of relaxation.
Okay.
Such that I can be able to come back feeling very productive and creative.
Okay.
That might just be my reason of going to the club.
Okay.
Now, getting to the club and I hear, without any offense to anyone who is a hype man, decides to hear things that glorify fraud, glorify all forms of vices. Yeah. It is up to me to decide either to
stay back there
or I leave.
Okay.
For my mental health.
All right.
So it's an individual thing. It's a consensus thing that you have to make. I will not tell you what is good for you.
Okay.
But I will tell you, prioritize your mental health at all costs. So if going to such places would make you begin to appreciate the glorification of fraud or other vices, then it shouldn't be a place to go.
All right, I'll take that to be your final word on this. Now, Ramsey, what's your advice for young people out there who
they should stand up. Okay. They should stand up, they should walk, they should move, they should be patient, and they should do what they love doing. They will see increase in their life.
They should do what they love doing. So passion is very key in this.
Very key. Once you are doing what you love doing, you definitely see progress. All
right, guys, I really want to say a big thank you to you for making today's discourse a success. You guys opened my eyes personally to a whole lot of things, and I want to say a big thank you to you. I hope that the next time I call on you, you'll oblige me.
Hopefully.
And of course, Joshua, it's been nice doing this with you.
Same here, bro.
Okay, it's the Flip Side on Independent Television. I want to say a big thank you to each and every one of you out there for being a part of the show. We've been taking a look at maximizing the creative potential of the youth. Now, if you're a young person out there with potentials, with talent, please have it in mind that you cannot, maximize those potentials by engaging or indulging in anything negative. Negative cannot produce positive. So have it in mind, okay? Look for good people and mingle with them. And of course, feed your mind with positive materials, positive content, okay? Because just like they say, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So sometimes what you have inside of you is what you give out, okay? So it's very important that you feed yourself positive content just so you can, give out positive content as well. My name is Harry Aigbo J, and until I come your way again, same time, same station next week, do ensure you stay out of trouble and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye for now.